Welcome to the Conditional Release Program, a podcast that delves into the netherworld of cults, crims and con artists. We don't like these people and it shows. We believe the best way to expose them is to hold them up to a harsh light, point our index fingers in their general direction and mock them mercilessly, take them down a peg or two until they cease to exist in any other form than the shit on our shoes. I'm Jack the Insider, otherwise known as Peter Hoisted for tax purposes.
And I'm Joel Hill, and today we're going to look at COVID-19 and the vaccines that are coming our way. Naturally, this will tip us into the lying scumbags and the pro-disease anti-vax movement and how they desperately want to see vaccinations fail. We want to take you deeper into what has come out, what's going to come, and just how the world and the country, Australia that is going to manage the next stage of the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, the line between science and politics is getting very blurry.
Well, we are coming to a rollout of vaccines across the world. In Australia, where the vaccines kick off in March, a vaccination certificate is going to be like a form of currency. It may well dictate where you work, where you go to socialise, how you travel. Some of this will be driven by government, but a lot by business, and maybe one or two NGOs, which is like shit-hot bait to the Q-pilled.
Yes, it is. We also want to talk about how quickly the developing world will get access to the vaccine and the prospect of yet another layer established between the haves and the have-nots, which is set to take lives and destroy economic progress. People will die. I mean, this is taking place where a day of paid work can truly be a matter of life and death.
And all this while SARS-CoV-2, the virus itself, is happily mutating around the world, making it harder for effective vaccination. It promises to be a brave new world, Joel.
Well, that's certainly how people like Pete Evans are seeing it, but we'll get on that and up Pete later in the show because there's plenty to flesh out here. But right now, it's time for the Conditional Release Program's Weekly News. Craig Kelly, the federal member for Hughes, what a joyous guy he is.
Nice.
What a contribution he makes to our political debates. What a
Very
lovely fucking guy. The former furniture salesman turned Australia's chief spruiker for hydroxychloroquine.
It's a lot of syllables for Craig. It's a lot of syllables.
It's a lot of syllables for anyone. That word is my least favourite word of 2020. May it die in peace in 2021. He released figures claiming 2020 was a cooler year than 2019.
Not cooler,
okay.
like, more hip. I mean,
No.
Cooler as in temperature, yes.
I much prefer 2019 personally, but that's a whole other story. Effectively, the global warming had been turned back.
Well,
I mean, I'm really glad that got sorted out because I was actually getting a bit worried about it for a second there.
Well, let me just say, Joel, he's the best furniture salesman I've ever seen. I bought an ottoman from Craig about 10 years ago. Didn't fucking need one. Nowhere to put it. But Craig convinced me, and before I even knew it, I was carrying it out to the car. I wouldn't have minded so much, but it was in a lime green suedette. Fuck ugly thing that I had to throw in the garage as soon as I got home. But he's a tremendous salesman, and look, if he was still knocking out Chippendales, I would have bought 3 by now.
Yeah, but as a climate scientist, he's really not that good. I mean, Jack, his figures were based solely on a comparative analysis of temperatures, very basic, of the last 2 years,
yes,
without any kind of data to give it any kind of meaningful context. It's just 2 different things.
On January 21, 2019, the temperature was, and then just went a year further. So no context at all. Context, he's not big on that.
No, he just doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Whereas Australian National University Climate Change Institute Director Mark Howden might know something more.
Yes,
I mean,
he probably does.
What a job title. That was like fucking 12 words. So he said that Mr. Kelly's post was a classic example of cherry-picking data and there was no merit to the claims he made, which sounds quite a lot like he just got his numbers from Pete Evans' Telegram feed.
And the news service, AAP, found Mr. Kelly's statement that 2020 has been the, quote, year of global cooling, with average temperatures worldwide falling by 0.5 degree Celsius over the past 12 months to be false. Wow. Sorry, Craig. Actual climate change experts who don't sell furniture said the figures Mr. Kelly cited do not show overall temperatures have decreased, with data from official sources showing 2020 is set to be one of the warmest years on record, even warmer than 2019.
Oh, dear.
Who'd have thought it? Craig Kelly, peerless furniture salesman, would fail to grasp the intricacies of global climate data while gobbing great handfuls of hydroxychloroquine to ward off the plague. He's a former rugby prop, which probably would keep him out of a collection of the greatest minds in Australia. But he does try hard, Joel.
Yes, and he's going to have to try very hard to win pre-selection in Hughes before next election, which is great news. Both Malcolm Turnbull and Scott Morrison put the kibosh on New South Wales pre-selection battles before the last election, which allowed that useless fuck Craig to avoid a solid challenge that had him pleading, I'm gonna run as an independent. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, not sure how that would have worked out. But anyway, I think it would be an excellent outcome for both democracy and furniture sales if Craig's shining career as a politician came to an abrupt end. It could be the shot in the arm, the double dose of hydroxychloroquine this country's retail furniture industry so badly needs. But in other news, Trump punters have been screaming longer and louder that they want their money back, Joel.
Yes, we brought you this news last week, and we will continue to keep listeners updated because this is very fucking funny.
Yes,
the Betfair Trump Punters Fraud Exposed Facebook group, which is one of many. We've just zeroed in on this group of losers because they're pretty funny. They have 883 members, including Jack and I and probably several hundred other spectators who just think this is fucking hilarious. They have been babbling excitedly, expecting any day now the bookies will return their money that they bet on Donald Trump to be elected. They went for President November 3, and they went for all sorts of exotic, stupid bets.
And another lash, yeah.
And at no point, whether it be November 3 or December 14th, when the electors met with the faithless electors that were meant to happen, they've got all these other dates lined up. Apparently Pence is going to bail them out in January. They're fucking idiots, and it's not going to go well.
Oh, it's just going to be so hilarious. Look, I signed up to the group because it is a treasure trove of idiocy writ large. Virtually every post made by the group is a joyful piece of self-delusion, including this message of hope from member Jordan. I won't tell you his surname, but no. Jordan is a real fuckwit. Anyway, Jordan, just a thought, he said, are we going to be able to, TOO, potentially sue for more than our projected winnings? Could we maybe put in our own interest charge? Because that's what they're doing, right? Holding our money whilst their interest builds. That was a thought from Jordan, and there was general agreement with Jordan's post among the group. Yes, they would sue Betfair and its associated agencies, and yes, they would be claiming interest. Not only this, but also seeking damages for the emotional distress caused by this withholding of their winnings.
Yep.
According to other posts in the group, some Trump punters had in fact lost their houses, while others had a flutter on the Trumpster instead of investing their money in more wiser pursuits.
Like penny stocks.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't want to mock those who have found out that gambling can have its perils. But putting the fucking house on Donald Trump is just about the craziest thing I've ever heard. And frankly, becoming homeless and sleeping in your car for a couple of years is not only a small price to pay, but contains an important life lesson about gambling that these idiots need to learn the hard way.
Yeah, we're going to keep a solid eye on the Trump Punters group because they have a lot of promise coming. Essentially, over the next few weeks, they're relying on Mike Pence to subvert US democracy by basically just saying, we're not going to count those states. There's the 7th when they have the joint session of the House and Senate, and if Pence doesn't come through for them, I mean, they might add him to the bloody lawsuit. But then, of course, January 20, the big day, the inauguration day.
Yes.
Are they going to keep going after that? Who knows? But I don't know. I don't think they're going to rest, and I think it's going to be quite funny.
Oh, yes. Look, the inauguration promises to be a rather grim day for them. Don't drive drunk and don't gamble when you're an idiot. It's not hard, Joel.
No, it's not. It's fucking simple.
Fairly straightforward. In more pandemic news, Australians have gone batshit crazy after moving their heads side to side, trying desperately to follow a bizarre case of pandemic public policy ping pong. Victorians think Gladys Berejiklian is a criminally negligent mass murderer, while New South Wales people think Dan Andrews is an incompetent Stalinist who'd add everybody off to death camps if he could just figure out the logistics.
Yes, and it's not about what state you live in because Australians are deeply divided over pandemic policy, border closures, mandated mask wearing, and often these things are over basic partisan party lines or how pilled you are.
And it's no fucking wonder we're all confused, irritable, and at each other's throats, because there are voices from people who should know better. One of the rare benefits of this annus horribilis that was 2020 is that every Australian became almost an epidemiologist, which is terrific. Many Australians combined their new almost expertise by becoming almost immunologists, while others decided to become almost virologists.
Mm-hmm.
And many of these almost experts started shouting out that governments were wrong, hard lockdowns were needed, police should be dragging people away, and the cricket should be played on the moon. On top of that list is ABC science guy, Dr. Norman Swan. He's actually a medical doctor. I'll have a go at him. I believe he remains licensed to practice medicine, but he's not an epidemiologist, an immunologist, a virologist, or engaged at the coalface of public health policy. He's a paediatrician, or he was, in 1982. He's been a journalist for the last 38 years. Now, he's entitled to express an opinion. Hell, everyone is, but my problem is that Swan has been utterly and provably wrong in his opinions on the pandemic, including an infamous tweet back in April that predicted tens of thousands of Australians infected. That obviously didn't happen. Now, my point is that Swan, as a journalist, should defer to expert opinion, but he does not. In fact, he's not a journalist anymore. He has taken that long walk from reporting or chronicling events and circumstances to becoming an advocate. And by all means, listen to Dr. Norman Swan, but understand that he is not an epidemiologist, not even close, and he's not really a journalist anymore. He continues to be platformed on the ABC, where he has never withdrawn any of his claims or acknowledged how wrong he's been in the past. Scaring the shit out of people with alarmist stuff during a pandemic is a nasty way to earn a dollar, in my opinion. And my advice is to listen to the experts, the real experts, who put their reputations and expertise on the line. In New South Wales, that means New South Wales Health, not Brad Hazard, not Gladys, not media tarts.
Absolutely not us.
Well, I am a little bit.
Yeah, all right. Show us your qualifications.
I've been on the tally. But this is what we say. So listen. I mean, have a listen to us by all means.
Yeah, keep going. Tell your friends.
But when it comes down to changing behaviour, when it comes down to acknowledging risk and acknowledging threat, then you listen to the genuine experts.
The ones who are in the room at the time when the real numbers, the real information comes out, the real data, the stuff they have behind closed doors. Yeah, they've generally got fairly substantial certificates on their walls that mention words like virology and epidemiology. And shit we can't pronounce, not to mention discuss. I mean, look, I was reluctant to have a go at Dr. Norman Swan. I've always enjoyed the Coronacast, things like that. But I see your point. I do see your point here.
And that brings us to this. A long, hard look at the COVID-19 pandemic and how it is set to fuck with us again in 2021.
It will. Yeah, it will.
It's time for our deeper dive. So let's kick our deeper dive off by saying we are not medicos, not experts. Like the rest of Australia and possibly the world, we have become almost epidemiologists and almost virologists and very nearly public health experts, but nearly doesn't cut the mustard in terms of critical advice.
Yes, unfortunately, with the democratization of broadcasting, any old fuckwit can start a podcast, and we have, and you've downloaded it. So let's see what we can come up with, because all we'll be doing is presenting the known and established facts around the pandemic as it moves toward this new vaccination stage of the process. And while we may not have sat the GAMSAT, I couldn't if I tried, and done all this medical school dance, which I wouldn't even approach because you'll be very clever to manage to pull these things off. We do know a thing or two about politics. The line between science and politics is becoming very, very blurry, and I think we're gonna, we're gonna play around with it.
So we need some clarity, and some of these are early facts. So 10 vaccines have now been rolled out outside clinical trials and being pumped into people from around the world, certain parts of the world anyway. Of that 10, 3 are from China, 2 from Russia, with the vaccinations in the US, the EU, the UK and Israel, along with some of the Arab Emirate nations coming from the Pfizer-BioNTech, which is a US-German joint project, that vaccine with the Moderna vaccine, which is a US pharmaceutical company. There are another 55 vaccines in various stages of clinical trials. One of the vaccines designed for Australian use is at its final stages. That's what we call the AstraZeneca or Oxford trial. In the space of since the United States began its rollout late December, there have only been 2.1 million doses doled out, and that's very slow. And we've also seen similar sort of slack rollouts in the EU and the UK. These are not down to fears of take up. These are down to bureaucratic problems. They're not all beginning in the White House, the US problems anyway. They might not have the wheels greased around the Oval Office at the moment, but we are seeing sort of the usual fuck ups between jurisdictions, and we've seen in the United States actually the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, which has to be kept at very, very low temperatures, stored at very low temperatures, being rolled out for use with nurses holding syringes in their hands saying, well, who's next, and there's actually no one there. So they're, just establishing who's the priority and getting those people who are in that priority list up to getting vaccinated is the big problem. But here's the thing. So with that very small, as of last Friday, 2.1 million doses doled out in the US. Of that 2.1 million, we have seen 13 only severe reactions. That's very, very low. That's 1 in 160,000 doses by my pretty ordinary maths, back of the beer coaster maths, but that's basically where we are. 13 severe reactions from 2.1 million doses. Those severe reactions, we're not talking about a little, perhaps a little skin eruption or a headache or something like that. We are talking about anaphylactic shock. Those sorts of very severe reactions. So 13 out of 2.1 million doses. That's very effective. That's extremely
better bloody
effective.
odds than getting COVID, mate.
Yeah, absolutely right. So early days, at least, that the two vaccines active in the United States, the Pfizer-BioNTech and the Moderna, are going along very nicely, with the proviso that their bureaucracies are fucked and need to get themselves in order.
Yes, it's difficult, to be fair. I mean, to their credit, this is a lot to handle. Getting something that is at minus 70 degrees, is that Celsius or Fahrenheit? I mean, it's fucking cold. It's hard. It's a hard job.
Yeah, and look, that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. But just getting people to stand in line is and developing that priority list. And so obviously the priorities are people with underlying health conditions and obviously frontline health workers.
Yeah, but it's like herding cats, Yeah,
and look, I tell you, I guarantee you that our rollout in this country, which begins in March, I guarantee you it'll be a lot easier.
I think it will be,
because we have much more effective health bureaucracies. I know they're not perfect, but if you take a look at some of the health systems and how they're run overseas, in Europe particularly, it's disastrous. So we have our rollout coming in March. 51 million doses will be made available to all Australians during 2021. That's everyone times two. The vaccinations will be two-shot. And the Australian government has established 4 agreements. One I mentioned before is AstraZeneca, otherwise known as the Oxford vaccination, which is still at clinical trial level. And Pfizer, the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, and 2 other vaccines still in clinical trials, also at stage 3 level, Novavax and Covax. And as I said before, people with underlying health conditions in Australia, frontline health workers, and also, well, they'll be first cabs off the rank, as well as a sort of social, cultural, even sporting and political leaders will be receiving the vaccine early. Now, there's been a lot of talk about that. Why should the Prime Minister get his vaccine early? Why should the Archbishop of Sydney get his? And what do you make of that, Joel? Surely it's just a way of establishing trust with the people.
It's the optics. It's the optics of making sure that people who have, say a lot to lose, or especially when it comes to politicians, for the red-pilled folks, like, if they're taking the vaccine, then maybe it's safe, because if it wasn't safe, they'd be the first ones to know about it. Like, if there's a conspiracy, surely they're in on it. And so these sort of things, they bolster up the public confidence. If it were unsafe, the guys at the top wouldn't take it. But I mean, this is the issue. And these things fall apart so easily. That's the thing that sucks.
There was an article in the New York Times last week indicating that it actually been very effective, that their turnout, while their rollout is slow and cumbersome, the turnout is actually a lot bigger than they had expected. We do tend to focus on the anti-vaxxers and the nutters saying, I won't have that needle, but the circumstance in the United States with having vaccinated not just people like Joe Biden, but religious leaders. I mean, that's really compelling. And
a lot of other religious leaders are saying the vaccine's bad. They're saying it's the mark of the beast. They're saying there's a microchip in it. I mean, it depends on your religious leader.
Yeah, that's right. So, so I guess when we go through these public events, public vaccination events of national leaders, there are certain rules that we should certainly follow in order not to attract the attention of the anti-vaxxers groups who are all going to be lying and deceiving their way through this.
And also watching like hawks.
Yeah, that's right.
These are the guys who look at these videos and they look at them frame by frame to look at anything that could establish some sort of doubt around some sort of vaccination event, because this is what they live for. They're in a cult.
Well, we did see Anastasia Palaszczuk.
That was bad.
Yeah,
and that was a flu shot.
That was a flu shot. So
not even controversial.
This is early on. This is early last year, or sort of mid-year last year, when Anastasia Palaszczuk submitted for an influenza shot, and because the media weren't ready, the cameramen weren't ready when she actually did receive the shot, they faked it up afterwards to make it look. And of course, anti-vaxxers and all sorts of quibblers and moaners looked at this and said, "Oh, that's all fake." Well, it was fake. So don't do that stuff. Yeah.
Like I saw the video and I thought, shit. Like, I mean, surely there's an explanation for this.
Giving people an opportunity. Yeah.
Absolutely, just feeding into their bullshit. Like, Paulie Fennick, the guy from Fat Pizza, who's now apparently some fucking red-pilled visionary, and believe me, it's working for him. He's got all these wellness lunatics and mums groups going, "Oh my God, I didn't know you were so great." And he posted a thing today of Benjamin Netanyahu getting the shot. And
yeah, I've seen the video.
And I saw the video because I saw the video after I told you about this. And basically, the picture shows all these damning moments of the video. And if you look at the video, it looks a lot different to what the picture says. So the picture speaks 1,000 words. But at the end of the day, this physician that administered the shot to Netanyahu wasn't wearing gloves.
No.
He was touching the needle somehow and holding the thing by the needle. It looks like this is one of those like public CHO types who hasn't practiced medicine in about 30 years, maybe Nolan Swan.
And seeing 1,000 cameras in front of him, it's had a little bit of a nervous moment. Had a little bit of a nervous
useless.
moment. And
you can't have this.
Just did they're just little things like he wasn't wearing gloves,
Yeah, all the rest of them, like the actual nurses who've been doing it in the hospitals, they're nailing it. Like, they're wearing the gloves, they're shooting it like a pro, and they're not even thinking twice about it. This guy was clearly thinking twice about it, and it shows. And now these anti-vax dickheads have this screenshot that looks like there's shenanigans. Well, stop doing that. Stop fucking up the photo shoot.
We'd encourage our listeners to check out the YouTube video of Benjamin Netanyahu getting the needle. It certainly looks legit, but guys, can we get our act together before we do these things and do it the right way? Look, the anti-vaxxers,
it goes bad.
Yes, exactly right. So to the anti-vaxxers, besides this, how have they been going? I mean, as we've said numerous times in this program, this is kind of like this is the Alamo for them, right?
They're just shit people, so this is all obviously going to go in very badly.
But if the rollout of this vaccination or the series of vaccinations, and we'll go on to talk a bit later about how that might mean multiple vaccinations, not just 2, but other vaccines that are still on the drawing board coming in. But if we are able to effectively vaccinate the globe from SARS-CoV-2, then where does that leave the anti-vaxxers? So when you understand this is why they're being so loud. This is why they're being so terrible.
Oh, yeah. This is a very important moment for them.
Yeah, because this is make or break, you know.
Yeah. Look, they'll always find their niche on the fringe, but they become so mainstream that their chance of staying in this mainstream sort of spotlight is fading as this goes well. They need to make sure there is fear, uncertainty, and doubt in one of the biggest vaccination programs ever to make sure that people still give money to RFK, buy bricks from Dell Big Tree. I mean, these scammers and grifters rely on this. And the thing is they have an army of cult members who will do their bidding. I mean, fuck me. If you haven't heard about this, it's going to make you sick. Because to usher in the new year, just around Christmas, a pharmacist at Aurora Medical Center. Yeah, a pharmacist. So the guy's basically the keeper of the keys there at Aurora Medical Center in Grafton, which is not that Grafton, but there's a Grafton in Wisconsin, which is pretty funny. Left 57 vials.
It's not that funny. I
think it's hilarious. I love the word Grafton. I've always thought it was a very strange town. Anyway, there's a whole story behind that. I'm not going to tell it.
There is. It is a very strange place.
The Moderna COVID vaccine out of the fridge for several days, destroying several hundred doses. And it was hoped that this was a mistake, which is fair enough because mistakes do happen.
Bit of negligence, bit of stupidity.
Life's like that. But after seeing the pharmacist being questioned was actually a red-pilled fuckhead spouting anti-vax bullshit all over social media, he admitted under, I imagine, quite well-honed investigation and interrogation skills that he did intentionally sabotage the shots.
What a piece of shit. I mean, that's just a terrible human being. And God only knows. I mean, he should be a man of science himself. And this is the extent of it, of course, that you've got people, pill counters, pharmacists, who think this is dangerous. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Who can you trust? It's ridiculous. Yeah, so they did this around Christmas, which is just like the proper Grinch of Grafton sort of shit here. And he's now been arrested on charges of first-degree recklessly endangering safety, adulterating a prescription drug, and criminal damage to property.
Yeah, he's currently cooling his heels in the county jail, and I hope he is having a genuinely terrible time there. He could get up to 22 years for this caper, and I hope he gets every last minute. We also don't know if this was an isolated event or something he's been doing on a fairly routine basis. That's a great fear, of course. Putting lives at risk to pursue his bullshit hobby cause as an anti-vaxxer.
Get a new fucking cause, man. And the thing is, like, while I do feel that this deep sense of sympathy for these idiots who have fallen into what is the cult of anti-vax.
Definitely a cult. Yep.
The people that create the lies, that destabilize his faith in science, should be absolutely held to account. He's not just spreading lies. He's not just believing lies, but he's creating the lies. You see, this fuckwit was trying to prove the vaccine doesn't work by making it not work. And that's the kind of shit anti-vaxxers do. These lying sacks of fuck. This is a lie of the highest order because it puts the lives of hundreds of people, likely frontline workers, at risk in a country that is crawling with the plague to make this non-existent point about whether vaccines work. I mean, fuck this guy. I hope he absolutely rots in jail. He's a piece of shit. Outside of that incredibly annoying speed bump in the vaccine rollout, what are the implications of this, mate? Like, what roles are anti-vaxxers on the inside going to play from here? We're trying to ruin this road to recovery to make some shitty point scoring with a, oh, I told you so. Fuck you told me so. Mate, we're trying to get out of a problem as a society using science and technology to the best of our abilities, and you little shits are trying to ruin it. This burns me up. How do these people not see themselves as the villain here? How do they not realize they're just in a fucking death cult?
Yes, well, look, I'd like to think, and I hope I'm right, that for the most part, scientists and pharmacists, of course, are men and women of science, would be shunning this sort of stuff. That the most unusual circumstance of this event is that the fellow who rendered so many doses of the vaccine ineffective, thus allowing people thinking that they've been vaccinated to go into, as you say, frontline health workers going into very dangerous situations. Just extraordinarily irresponsible, but also the fact that he really should be the sort of person promoting a vaccine. And that sort of at least gives us an indication. Well, I wouldn't think that's in any way a mainstream issue, but I think that at least gives us an indication of just the depth or the extent of this cult in our society today.
It's terrifying.
I did see. Look, they just lie so randomly and so easily and obviously. There is a bit of stuff going around on social media that shows an image that is supposed to be is it a 5G circuit?
That's right. The microchip from the vaccine.
My microchip from the vaccine that's being injected into people, and there
it's like a schematic of the microchip.
Yeah, it's an electrical sort of circuit breakdown, and that is apparently linked to the sort of thing, and that's been circulating widely around Italy while they're trying to get their population vaccinated.
It's an incredibly suspect because there's a few words on there you think, what? I don't know if a microchip needs bass and treble.
But look, it turns out that the electric circuit that's being described there is actually from a guitar pedal, and
and classic distortion pedal.
Yeah, massive distortion pedal indeed. But it's just. Again, it just shows you the extent that these people will go to.
Yeah, they just make shit up. And it
gets worse outside that vaccination sphere when we start seeing. So in Sydney, as of tomorrow, as of Monday, the 4th of January, mask wearing will be mandated in Greater Sydney basically in indoor areas, shopping centres, cinemas, public transport, etc. This has long been called for by some. And look, just so people know, I've been wearing a mask on public transport for months. I just think that's sensible, and I made my own choice. I'm always a little bit concerned about mandatory anything. Mandatory mask wearing here, because if you're going to make things mandatory, then it's got to be policed. And then the New South Wales Police, they can it's a $200 on the spot fine, so it's no one's getting dragged into a courtroom, or locked up indeed. But still, I'm a little uncomfortable about all that sort of stuff. I guess the first thing is, I've had people hit me up, go, "What's Greater Sydney? Is it Sydney with the lesser parts removed?"
Yes.
The geographic definition of Greater Sydney was actually done. No one else could sort of come up with it. So the Victorian government, the Andrews government, came up with it and said, "Well, we call Greater Sydney plus the Blue Mountains, the Central Coast, and the Illawarra." The Illawarra all the way down to Nowra, and that seems to be the definition that New South Wales government is also. Oh yeah, that sounds about right. They've gone with that as well. So that involves really probably a good 120 kilometre radius all the way around from the Sydney CBD.
And it's these questionably greater spots that are the ones that are going to have the cops crawling around, because they're the ones that they tend to go, because they're the cops that like to go and knock heads a bit. Like inner city cops, but the rural ones special.
Go? Yeah, where are they going to go?
Straight west. They're obviously, do not pass go.
They're obviously going to go. Young people, they're going to go. People low socioeconomic status folk.
Yep. Throw some race in there, and you got yourself a stew.
So you would got a stew going on, And look, it would seem sensible to me, and I would like to think that the police ministry had discussions with the chief commissioner and senior police to say, look, what we really want you to do is actually, in the first weeks, we really want you guys to be just handing masks out. Where you don't seem being worn, and just.
But when they say no.
When they say no, then they don't have to come up with a bloody good reason why they're not. And
they'll just lie. They'll just lie. I've got asthma. I've got a cough. I'm just generally a fuckwit on the internet.
Yeah. It's just this. It's driven by this nonsense. It's outside that sort of anti-vaccination world. It's driven by this nonsense that a small amount of inconvenience somehow equals a serious impingement on people's liberties, which is just total bullshit. And it ignores. Acting as individuals for the common good,
which is incredibly frustrating. Yeah. It's not socialism to give a fuck about your community. It really isn't. I don't think that needs to be the case.
That's
right. But it's also like, it does go away from the idea of this sort of, Victor Tay, I'm just exercising, anti-lockdown sort of mentality, because you've got the Judy Mikovits says in Plandemic, it's a massive central thesis of the film that you've already got illness, but when you breathe it back in because of a mask, you get the sickness and it somehow multiplies up your ass and makes you sick. I mean, these people literally think that wearing a mask is going to give you COVID. They've been trained to by BitChute videos. So when a cop hands them a mask, it's almost like someone handing you COVID in your hand and their little brains are going to melt. Now, at what point do we treat that like a mental health issue? And at what point do we start jailing the people who are inserting these ideas in people's heads? Now, that is a whole kettle of fish we can't even get into. But it comes to that, where you've got people who, on one side, are saying, I've got rights. No, you don't. And on the other side, I'm not going to touch that mask. That's the mark of the beast because fucking Tay's way told me it was going to kill me. I mean, like... How do you police that? You're policing crazy people.
Yeah. Look, it is extremely difficult to do. And can you imagine how frustrating it would be for law enforcement? Who are there to say, look, you can have. We've been given some masks to hand to you, and they say, well, I'm not going to wear that because it'll kill me. I mean, it's just bizarre stuff. So those guys, I mean, it's a $200 on the spot fine. I've got no problem, and I think the vast majority of the community will have no problem with that. Those fines being issued for people who point blank refuse to wear a mask.
Yes, but they should be given an option if they can't afford it. They forgot one.
Yeah,
absolutely given an option because that does become a bit tyrannical and a bit weird.
It does. Yeah, look, never comfortable with anything being mandated. This advice has come not from some of the names we mentioned before, sort of jumping up and down on social media. The advice to do this now on the back of the Avalon cluster and one or two others in Sydney now, there's one in Western Sydney of concern, that is the advice from, senior health bureaucrats. I mean, people who are trained and expert in these things to say, look, this is a good thing to be doing for the foreseeable future. Might only last a month, might only last a couple of months. But, look, it's a sensible thing. It's obviously based in solid medical advice.
Yeah, things have kicked off. Just wear a fucking mask.
It creates some civil liberty sort of issues, and maybe we should always just be a little bit cautious before we say the police go your hardest,
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, fuck, man. Like, here are all these people who are smugly lying like that Victor Tay asshole. Oh, I'm just exercising. Oh, you're exercising. Oh, you live in fucking Liverpool and you're exercising around Macquarie Street. These people just lie in public. Oh, I have an exemption. No, you don't. Oh, I have asthma. No, you don't. I can't breathe with a mask. Yes, you can. But these guys will lie because they are cult members who believe there is a greater good behind their messaging. And honestly, I just get so inclined toward them just having just a jail sentence. I'm sorry, but like you just can't run a society like this.
If you're driving a large number of people to do the wrong thing, to put themselves at risk and others, then really, I mean, basically, I don't know how the Crimes Act works around that sort of stuff. But
it would need to be amended. I think.
Yeah, I mean, at least at a moral level, you are talking about offences or behaviour that I think a lot of the community would like stopped by way of having these people brought before the courts and prosecuted.
And it's bloody tyrannical stuff. This is the sort of stuff that, like, it's a stuff of dystopian nightmares. And the problem is it wouldn't be an issue if these fuckheads weren't so obsessed with getting attention, getting Patreon subscribers, selling supplements, hawking crystals, and generally just being grifting pieces of shit by circulating some of the most dangerous misinformation I've ever seen in my time. And goddamn, don't I look for it. Like, these motherfuckers are just the worst right now. I honestly think anti-lockdowners should have won the Golden Tapeworm. It's just that Pete Evans is just so punchable, he had to get it.
Oh, indeed. Well deserved. Richly deserved. The Golden Tapeworm for Pete. But look, when we're trying to have a little bit of faith in government, and I'd argue that Australians basically do, there are still major problems with governments. And look, the Victorian government's had a shocker. They had a shocker throughout 2020, but they've had an even worse. Well, perhaps not even worse, but they've really fucked up the holiday period for a lot of people, and there's no real reason for it other than you just think, well, when Dan Andrews goes on holidays, nothing seems to happen. But basically, what happened was that while the Victorian government had urged people travelling interstate, particularly into New South Wales, to hurry home. It was at 3:30 on the afternoon of December 31 that they announced that borders would be closed, and that those either Victorian residents or people with permits to cross the border would be allowed through. So that's it's not even half a day. Sort of planning and preparation, and then presumably
it won't get you from Sydney.
You're going to battle to do that, and so you had a lot of people holidaying in southern New South Wales and what have you, who basically had to pack up and go home, and then wait in these long queues because the Victoria Police Force had to sort through this chaos, and in the end, they just started waving people through. I mean, it was just a completely failed exercise. They've also the Victorian government's also urged these people from other states, travelling back to Victoria from New South Wales to go and get tested. So they waited 6 hours to cross the border. Then they go in and basically a lot of these testing places were sort of overwhelmed and had to shut. It's just. You've got to get these things right. I mean, you'd like to think there's someone there who's kicking a few asses, but they've made so many mistakes now that really we are driving at public confidence type issues. But and I no doubt we'll get spanked from the dance dance. This sort of social media army. That just blindly supports anything Dan Andrews and the Andrews government does.
I'm going to pull up the dance stand thing because this is a thing that's a bit of an internet niche term.
Right.
Essentially what happened is some time ago, specifically towards K-pop fans, they were called stans. And stan is a reference to an Eminem song where an obsessive fan sends a letter to Eminem about all this shit. I think he eventually kills himself or some shit. It's all really sad and dramatic. I think Dido was on it. But essentially, it's a very internet slang term of saying someone who is fanatically obsessed as a fan.
It's a portmanteau, isn't it? It's stalker and fan.
I believe it comes from the Eminem song, with the Dido.
Well,
hook.
That's probably it's still probably its origin. That's what I understood. Stalker and fan. That's a portmanteau. That is for people like yourself, Joel, where we get two words and push them into one. So now you can use that.
I've portmanned and towed before.
So there was just some mad stuff going on in social media from these guys. I mean, they were saying, look, they were actually saying to their fellow Victorians struggling to get across the border, and then once they'd done that, basically submit to testing, waited hours, and then to be told, no, this one's closed. And these people were condemned by the dance stands as basically unclean people who had gone to New South Wales. It was as mad a shit as I've seen, and it tells you that this sort of restrictive stuff works left and right. It's really not subject to ideology. You are talking about the sort of ugly tribal elements of politics at their worst.
Yeah, very ugly, very tribal, and very much, fuck everyone.
Well, it sat almost. So if we want to talk about ideology, most of the dance stands are obviously from the left. They were saying things that were almost in lockstep with Tim Smith, the MP for Q. That's why I say. That's why it's Tim wants Andrews prosecuted and all this sort of stuff. I mean, it was the same sort of mentality, at least.
Yeah,
the content might have been different, but the mentality was the same. It's all just tips to the autocratic,
But I think there's been a lot of partisan things. Of course, it is tribalism, and it's not partisan in its viciousness. But what it is partisan is the fact that basically a whole bunch of lefty Labor types, myself being sort of one of them, not one of the dance stands as such, but got this chance to have a one-up on the New South Wales government, which they see as this long-standing Labor dynasty, a Liberal dynasty that needs to be taken down a notch. They need a loss.
And they might be right about that, but that's no reason to make shit up.
No, it's terrible. They've been behaving like fucking children, just seeing a vulnerability and sort of going for the neck while they're down. And look, I mean, I'm all about partisan politics. I will rip shit. I will be a general hack and a partisan asshole for days. But when it does come to COVID, and this is why a lot of these electoral victories have happened in this sort of spectacular way during COVID, is because this is one of those things where everyone has to walk across the aisle and get shit done and not fuck around. And this is why I hate these anti-lockdown fucks, because this is this moment where we might actually have this sense of bipartisanship, where we have a common enemy that we just need to get sorted, and these motherfuckers get in the way. And Dan Stans will make sure that this stuff does not become bipartisan.
More so, that you actually start looking at public policy based on science and knowledge and information.
Yeah.
Right?
Objectively.
And you actually get better outcomes. You get better policy outcomes because you're not actually weighed down by fucking ideology. Right?
Yeah, and things like economics, things like social policy, all this sort of stuff is so ambiguous. It never has a clear outcome. There's never a real, straight down the arrow, straight down the line answer that you can have this partisan bickering and you can have this whataboutery. When it comes to COVID, there are things we need to just make happen. And with this kind of bickering, they won't happen.
Yeah, it certainly makes it very difficult. But in other parts of the world where shall we say, the sort of partisan bickering is a luxury, things are looking a lot bleaker, Joel.
Yeah, it is. And it's like that because we've got this thing of you seeing all these, global elites first, as we said, which is a useful thing for people to get confidence in the vaccine. But at the end of the day, it's the US and the UK that are getting their sleeves rolled up, and Africa and South America are just falling apart at the seams.
South Africa, Africa generally hasn't gone too badly with COVID, and I'm talking about infection rates, because I suspect strongly because of temperature. We know
isolation and temperature.
We know the virus is. It lives. It doesn't live as long in warm temperatures.
Why I think beach bans
and we
are
also
dumb.
have a lot of sub-Saharan Africa has had pandemics belted into them, Ebola essentially, and so the behaviours are learned, and so it's a little bit like Southeast Asia where you've got learned behaviours in terms of social distancing and mask wearing and so forth. So that's why Africa's figures aren't too bad. It's terrible in South Africa, by the way, where the climate is a little more changeable,
more temperate.
But South
probably
America,
less outbreaks down there as well.
South America is in
South America is fucked, and that's the thing. There are practical obstacles to all this sort of stuff.
Central Asia in really bad ways, and you'll find in certainly Turkey's lying about their figures. I'd be
there's some lies.
Be astonished if they're not.
Erdogan's not one to play with the truth. No, God forbid.
So the way to look at this is not in a sort of national or even sort of continental way. You basically got to get the whole planet done. That's otherwise you still have problems.
And we love forgetting that poor people exist. I mean, like, that is our MO as Western countries.
Wow,
we just use them for like a surplus of labor for making shoes and occasionally give a fuck about them when there's a tsunami and promise $1 billion and not pay it.
What I would say is that it basically, if you do not, I mean, the whole idea is herd immunity in 2021 means basically is going to mean anyway 75 to 80% of the planet vaccinated for herd to kick in. Otherwise, overseas travel and the movement, of goods and services across borders is going to be slowed.
Heavily stunted.
Heavily. And
as it is now in Australia.
So
hugely.
So clearly, we're not just talking about the Bill Gates Foundation. We're actually talking about the world. And of course, this brings in an even greater level of fuckwittery. But when you start bringing the World Health Organization and UNESCO and places like that, it's organizations like that who can roll out into the developing world, it needs to happen, because if you don't do it, you've still got masses of pandemic bubbling away and porous borders and so forth, and
mutating strains,
mutating strains, which we want to talk about, because this virus is an RNA virus, so it's subject to mutation, and it does, it's almost like accelerated Darwinism. It's survival of the fittest. Vaccines do this. They mutate so they can grow, so they can survive and prosper. And sometimes they mutate so quickly they can wipe themselves out. I guess that's what Donald Trump was thinking about last year, around about April, and I think he said it on numerous occasions that it was just going to disappear. It has happened with other RNA viruses before, but we have to accept that this is going to be around for a while and is going to mutate. Now, the UK strain, there's some lovely stuff here, right? I actually really want to introduce the UK strain. Roger Helmer is a Tory defector to the UKIP, and he was a member of the European Parliament, even though he was a mad Brexiteer, and of course he's not now because of Brexit. Back in April, Roger Helmer was running the usual sort of racist logic. Why can't we call COVID the China flu? It's the same as Mexican food and Italian pasta. Why can't we call it the China flu? And just last week, Roger, who continues to call himself an MEP for some reason, asked people to refrain from referring to the new strain as the UK strain. Not allowed to do that. Wouldn't it be a terrible stain on the country? So in a beautiful way. But this tells them, and I just mentioned that by way of introduction to this new strain that has been identified in the UK, which is said to be 60% more infectious. Not 60% more lethal, because that would be a different thing. 60% more infectious. So that means that it doesn't mean 60% more of the population are going to be infected. It just means that rate of infection is going to jack up by about 60%, which is substantial. It will almost double. Well, it will, it be it and half of what it is added on. The lethality is a different question. That's when you start getting into like Ebolas with high levels of lethality, and it just wipes out communities so quickly that the virus essentially dies. It doesn't have a host. But this is more infectious, and what that basically means is a big problem for vaccinations. So one of the ones we've got coming is the AstraZeneca vaccination, and that's said to be 95% effective. Right?
Yep.
So with COVID in its pre-existing strain, we were looking at about 60% for herd immunity.
Yeah.
So 60% of people effectively vaccinated to get to sort of creating that herd immunity. With this more infectious strain, that figure needs to be about 70, 75.
Mm-hmm.
And on a vaccination, on a vaccine that is 95% effective, that virtually means you've got to vaccinate everyone.
Yeah.
Right?
Which basically means we need to deplatform fucking Pete Evans as soon as possible.
Well, it means what it might mean is that vaccination is effective or is of limited effectiveness or may not be effective at all. So this is what we're talking about with mutations. So no doubt, I mean, I have no doubt with all the vaccines that are under development now that there will perhaps be a short form vaccine and then a longer form one. That may be the case. That might be the solution. But we have a virus that mutates and becomes more infectious, not more lethal, more infectious. And that means that herd the percentage of those vaccinated has to rise every time there's a mutation. So that brings into question the whole business of vaccination. It will be solved. I'm convinced of that. It will be solved. This issue will be solved by vaccination, but it won't be solved like that. It won't be solved in March with your double shot. Yeah. And then, of course, we're talking about issues of once we've got the vaccine in place, and even bearing in mind that it may not be terribly effective or only effective for a short period of time, how do we as a society deal with that? How do we deal with that in a sort of legal framework? Do employers insist that their employees have COVID vaccinations? And
it's going to be tricky.
Yeah. So this whole issue of certification is really a fucking minefield. Yeah. And with all the usual suspects dragged in, you know, the anti-lockdowners and the anti-vaxxers and all those sorts of people coming in and making a hell of a noise, along with, you know, your hardcore libertarians and nutters on the right, how they're going to be able to deal with the fact that we may have to carry a certificate or some form of card, you know, a non-transferable card that says we have received a vaccination, and that we show that to employers because our employers require that. They insist on that, you know, and that they want legal support from our parliaments to do this. How will it mean? Will you be able to go to a pub? See, I have a feeling that once vaccinations have kicked in, so I'm talking about 9 to 12 months from now, there'll be places like cinemas will say, we won't have you in unless you produce a vaccination certificate. Pubs, we know Qantas are going to do it as a
Qantas for sure.
As an aviator, I mean, it was
I'm not convinced it's going to go that far, but I think it'll be interesting to see how far it does go, because I don't think the government is going to be brave enough to bring in something as hard as that. And I think it might be up to business. But if it is up to business, the implementation of such a system is going to be very, very difficult.
Be all over the shop. There'll be inconsistencies everywhere. And so
it'll be a whole bloody thing. Just like check-ins at pubs. Like, I'm glad they've got the Service New South Wales thing. I think mandating was weird, but it's such a pain in the ass. Everyone's got a different system. One thing works this way. One thing works that way. The Service New South Wales thing really put it into one sort of thing.
It is rare for me to offer congratulations to government, particularly in the areas of technology. But the New South Wales Service app is actually a ripper.
Yeah. It's been much easier than everything else. You just do your QR code. It says, you know, I know you're you, just move on, blah, blah, blah. I never check out, I never tap off the bloody bus, but it is what it is.
I never tap off either, but it's just made everything a lot easier. Anyway, so we are going to see sort of technology coming into this area, and I
definitely.
Look, it's not going to be like a rollout of an Opal card. There will be, you know, they're going to have public officials are going to have to turn their minds to how they're going to deal with this, because there are people who can't be vaccinated or shouldn't be vaccinated because they are likely to suffer adverse reactions. So they need to be considered as a genuine legal exemption.
But not fucking liars, not anti-vax little shit liars.
There'll be people
who make up any tale they can. Oh, it's this, oh, it's that. I've got this, I've got that.
Yeah,
you don't. You don't, and all it is you've just read some shit on Facebook, you have no friends, and all of a sudden you're in a fucking cult, and now you are halting progress. Do not do that to us. I want to go to the States. I want to see Nine Inch Nails live again. Stop it.
And look, that leaves us with the rather grim view that 2021 might be as bad, if not even worse than 2020, which is a terrible thing. Yeah. And we don't want to burden people with it. But I think what we certainly can predict is that social distancing, mask wearing, and various restraints on movement and association will be with us for the foreseeable future, well into 2022. 2022, yep. That's my thought. That is our deeper dive for today. And now it's time for this. A segment the Trump family has said is, and I quote, a shining example of outstanding media reporting that should be an example to the fake news in the mainstream media, unquote. It's a segment with heart, a segment I know many of our listeners openly weep to because they feel his pain. Aww. Eric Trump. He's like a bastard on Father's Day. Eric Trump, who is a very good-looking boy, loves kids, but not in a QAnon way, I dare say. Today I want to tell a story of Eric, who loves his dad. Love you, Dad!
Love you, Dad!
And why his relentless search for a father's love has prohibited him from running any sort of charity, let alone a charity for kids with Spanish dancer. And when asked why he raised money for children with cancer, Eric replied, "It's a great question. It's one that I've been asked before, and I'm not really sure. I think there is something about that innocence that has always affected me."
Jesus Christ.
That's an odd thing to say. But Eric, who was a good-looking boy and not a sociopath at all, did in fact raise around $15 million for kids with cancer, or more specifically, cancer research. And he'd do it mainly by organising a big day of golf at his dad's. Love you, Dad!
Love you, Dad!
His dad's Swiss golf course in Westchester, NY. B-list celebs and real estate wankers would pony up with some cash, have a round of golf and be served drinks by Hooters waitresses. Classy. But it worked, and it would still be working today if his old man's golf course hadn't jumped up the fees until it got to the point where the donations could barely cover the cost of hiring the course for the day. And it would have been all Eric's dad. Love you, Dad!
Love you, Dad!
It would have been all his fault, except Eric kicked in $100,000 to the Trump organisation and then hurled $500,000 about to other groups, including non-charities, who played golf at Trump resorts. Ooh. Long story short, Eric, who was a good-looking boy, was shuffled off to mandatory training along with Ivanka and Donnie Jr. on how to run a charity without stealing from it.
So hard.
It is very, very difficult, and they needed a lot of training. I am happy to say he passed with flying colours. He did, Eric. Well done, Eric. Only getting his pencil stuck in his ear once, and after the jaws of life removed it, he shut down the Eric Trump Foundation, and kids with cancer have to fend for themselves now. Bloody freeloaders. Mm-hmm. And the lesson Eric Trump took from all this was that he loves his dad.
Love you, Dad.
And the only person Eric should be helping is his dad. Love you, Dad!
Love you, Dad!
Not a bunch of sick kids who wouldn't know a hard day's work if it turned around and bit them on the arse. He's a very good-looking boy, though.
Yes, he is.
And now, listeners, it is time for this. I know this is a segment that everyone hangs their hats on, that everyone actually quickly presses, and we really don't encourage this, presses the fast-forward button so they can move straight to it. It's The Week in Pete Evans. Been a huge week. Huge week, Joe. Huge.
It has been a very big week in Pete Evans. Since getting the arse from Facebook, he's been incredibly enthusiastic on Instagram. He's posting with a furious confidence, and the general themes have really stayed the same. I mean, the election was stolen, the vaccine is bad, and there are several, but they are all just, bad. I mean, whatever vaccine it is, there's bad. Random claims about Bill Gates being involved in, just about everything he doesn't like, and a cheeky jab at Mark Zuckerberg stating fairly clearly that he protects pedophile accounts but bans those exposing them. Which, of course, means likely he's the one protecting the kids. Oh, fucking, pedophile protector Pete, like whatever. Like, what a fucking asshole. Realistically, the way Pandemic Pete protects children is by giving them a giant dose of liver broth that might kill them. But coming off the high of seeing him lose about 1.5 million followers the other day, which, fuck, that was good, the new year has not ushered in the ban we are all dying to see, not the yet. Instagram ban. Come on, guys.
I think it's coming soon, though. I personally want to see a series of defamation claims coming his way. You mentioned Bill Gates. We mentioned Anderson Cooper, the CNN frontman, last week. And Pete has really stuck the chin out there and said, guys, come and slap me around.
Here's a freebie.
Yeah. And here's a guy that's really put the hard yards into spreading misinformation about people in the public eye. And as yet does not even have a subpoena to show for it. Aww. Seems a bit of a waste, but the Instagram ban is what we want, and then we'd like a couple of large writs from Bill Gates come Pete's way. That'll keep him quiet for a little while.
It would be fucking beautiful, wouldn't it? Like, I mean, he really is just taking the piss at this point. Like, community standards state that you simply cannot throw out these unsubstantiated claims about vaccines, COVID, electoral fraud, and kiddie fiddling without being held to account and having your account swiftly bloody deleted. I mean, I think
having to be brought to account under oath in a witness box.
Oh, fuck, if only. But, like, I mean, I think the best thing they could really do is to just clear his block list and prevent him from deleting comments. Imagine that. If the internet was actually allowed a bit of this free speech and uncensored thought on his page, he would be dragged through glass. He's one of the most hated people in Australia, but he finally curates that echo chamber because he's probably paying someone to do it, and therefore he gets to say and show whatever he likes to his ridiculous pill fucking cult, when realistically you would have every man on his dog tearing him to shreds if he couldn't block everyone that said nasty, nasty things about him. Fucking idiot.
But with any luck, his comment deleting intern will lose his or her job in the coming days, and we will see a sharp drop-off from Pandemic Panic Pete, where his relatively obscure Telegram and Parler accounts, he's got about 9,000 Parler accounts following him.
Not many. Yeah,
will be his only way of reaching out to his pilled followers. I did notice, Joel, just by the way, that he actually, when he dropped off Facebook, he was demanding that people send their email lists through so he could get out a newsletter. You'd love to subscribe to that, wouldn't you?
Fuck, I hate newsletters. But until then, realistically, it's just more of the same shit. Yes. I mean, if he stays platformed, I think we could look forward to him getting bored of these electoral fraud claims around maybe February. Yeah. If that's the case, my money is going him straight back to accusing everyone he doesn't like of being a kiddie fiddler and him being the protector of children, which is fucking ridiculous. The guy's just a fucking narcissistic asshole. Because it feels like only yesterday when this was his whole shtick. He was all about mole children and fucking, kiddie fiddling in Hollywood. And he's just left it aside because of the electoral fraud thing. And I think that we need to go back to what I think is quite a funny pursuit of mole children and finding new ways to accuse Tom Hanks of diddling kids. Oh, yeah, I mean, come on, it goes without saying these days. If you think mole children are real, stop listening to our podcast. You're not one of us.
You don't think Pandemic Pete might be a member of the Facebook Trump Punters group? He's had a lash and wants his money back. I haven't been through the list. I love
the idea of him putting his fucking whole entire Evolve cash fund onto Trump, going, it's still coming in. Just wait till January 6th when Pence stops the fucking thing.
And I reckon Pete would only bet with other people's money, not his own. You have been listening to the Conditional Release program with your hosts, Jack the Insider and Joel Hill. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. And if you've enjoyed our bullshit, throw us a 5-star review on your podcast app.
Jack can be found on Twitter on @JackTheInsider and Joel on @CrunchyMoses with a K. We've set up a Facebook page. Just search for the Conditional Release program. Unless they've started censoring us and shadow banning us, you'll find it.
And finally, all feedback, tips and death threats should be sent to the conditional release program at gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, even if it's simply to administer a vaccine that has not only been out of the fridge for a couple of days, but is actually just a mix of chicken semen and brine. It might still work. Stick it in my arm.
Give it a go, son.
See you later, listeners. Talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Catch you then.